Hey everyone, welcome to Mental Fitness. I'm Sarah Blessing and I'm with my favorite Republican, Christopher Maichin. Christopher, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Super excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
We're going to go into some heavy stuff, and it's heavy with a positive spin where we are hoping to help your mental health. That's why this is a mental fitness today, you guys. So we are going to really focus on the propaganda on both sides. That's why I got you, Republican, super into politics on this episode. We are both seeing propaganda from both sides trying to divide us, trying to make us fear and hate the other side. And we have to talk about it. And it's hard to talk about it on my side, Christopher, because on my side, when I say Democrats are extreme too, Democrats tell me they're like, but look at what Republicans are doing. Well, let's talk about that honestly. Yes, the top people in the Republican Party are saying some scary stuff. And I think that that needs to be part of the conversation. That's not appropriate. We don't do that. However, most Republicans are not this way. They're not extreme. They're not scary like we think they are. Some are online and have been radicalized. Most human beings are good. And what do you think? Oh, you frozen, Christopher. You left me on on my own. Hope you get back. Maybe you need to switch to your phone. So if you are watching, feel free to comment. How are you doing? I'm worried about people's mental health right now. I'm going to kick Chris off and have him get back on again. Um, let's see. Is it working? Chris, log out and get back in. I can't believe you froze at the start of the show. So how are your all's mental health? I just spoke to a friend and she texted me, and she's a Democrat and she's on a leadership team. She's big in a county in Indiana's rural county and helping save their party. And she is struggling. She says, I see the division. I feel the hate and the fear pulling me to be more extreme. And I was just like, what do we do to get her back? So I said, most people are good. This is propaganda. This is propaganda feeding us. They're really trying to make us hate them, make them hate us. And we have to step out of our bubbles and see it. And it helped her. And she said, thank you. And then she made a really peaceful, beautiful Facebook post. And I was really proud of her. Hey, are you back?
I'm back. Sorry about that.
What's up with you freezing up on me right at the beginning, huh?
I know. I'm right as we're getting into it, of course.
So I am seeing my Democrat friends, Christopher, be more extreme, and it's fear. They're so scared. This political violence, what happened with Charlie Kirk, is horrific and terrifying. The rhetoric, the words coming out of people's mouths are very fear based that can lead to violence. And I am worried about my friends' mental health right now. And I encourage them to stop looking at those posts. What do you see on your Republican side? Fill us in.
Well, um, I feel like it's different and the same in a lot of ways on the Republican side. I don't see like a lot of calls for violence against Democrats on the Republican side. But I
I don't
do
either. I don't
see,
see violence on my side
I don't
either.
I don't yeah, exactly. But I do see it's just more hatred. Like we've on both sides of the aisle, we've really embraced this populist mentality, this us versus them mentality. Whether it's Democrats saying it's MAGA versus everybody else. Like if you're either for Trump or against Trump, and or Trump saying the liberal elites are and the swamp are against all of you. But MAGA, I'm for you, right? We see the populism happening on both sides. So I think what really needs to happen is just like the rhetoric needs to just be toned down altogether across the political spectrum. We need to understand that we are all human beings. We live in a pluralistic society. We live in a democracy. We're not supposed to have a hive mind. We're not supposed to be on the same page at all times. And that this country is defined on, discourse and debate in the public square, coming together, being able to talk about issues, being able to come to compromise on issues. You're not always going to get your way, and I'm not always going to get my way, but we can figure out something that works. And that's the mentality that we have to start having. It's not this us versus them. I'm always right, you're always wrong. We need to come together, because if you look at the true foundations of this country, that's what this country was built on. It's not that one party is going to rise up and know everything and rule everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you hit on a couple things that we can zoom in here. One, we shouldn't view politics as a religion.
Hmm.
We shouldn't just blindly follow. And I see that happening on both sides. And I think the reason people do it is because of fear.
Hmm.
We are scared. If you talk to people anywhere across the country, regardless of who they vote for, or if they vote, if they are paying attention, there's fear about our country.
Hmm.
And when you poll people about the fear of democracy falling, both sides, Republicans and Democrats, are worried about democracy. Now, they each think the other one is trying to take it.
Hmm.
So we need to acknowledge that. So, fear, whenever you have these scary things happening around the world, we kind of want to pick a person and just blindly follow them because we're terrified, and we want to just do what they say so that we can stop worrying about it and focus on our families and stuff
Hmm.
in our lives. I see that happening on my side.
Yeah.
Do you see that happening on your side?
Yeah, I think the problem with politics nowadays and the information space is there's so much information coming at you at one time. You don't know what's important, what to grasp onto, and what really matters, right? The 24-hour news cycle, one story may get drawn out for 24 hours and then it's onto something else the next day. So
The
as Americans,
profiting off of our attention.
oh,
And how do
exactly,
you
it's
get our
profiting.
attention? You scare the crap out of us.
Exactly. So, and by doing that, so we don't know which way is right all the time. If I'm just flooded with so much information and saying, this is an issue, this is an issue, this is the way you should think, this is the way you should think, like I don't have enough time to be able to critically think and analyze what my values and beliefs are to be able to actually come up with an opinion on that
So
issue.
you'll just pick your side's opinion.
Exactly. And then I
And
will
then
go
you'll
to the
listen. Maybe
leadership
you'll
in my
listen.
party.
Yeah, you'll listen to your side's reasons and you'll be
Hmm.
like, oh, so I think this and this is why. And we
Exactly.
both do it. I got so far to the left, Christopher, during the pandemic,
Hmm.
during the Black Lives Matter stuff. I
Hmm.
was thinking all cops were bad. I
Yep.
was very I was defending protests that were getting out of hand. And now I've pulled myself out of it. And I'm like, whoa, I can't believe I got that far. And I have to admit, the propaganda got to me. It was
Hmm.
during the pandemic. I was so stuck at home. I wasn't going out and talking to
Yep.
in the real world.
People, real people.
I
It was
wasn't talking
bots
to
and
real
social
people.
media and
Now I have legit friends that are cops. I
yeah,
have a good friend, Jason Kerberg, that is running for sheriff in Floyd County, and he is a Republican. And sometimes he thinks things that aren't true, and I tell him. And sometimes I think things that aren't true, and he tells me. And then I just keep making more cop friends. And now I'm really worried about their mental health because
yeah,
now I know more about what cops face, and I care
yeah,
about them. So I can admit I messed up. I can admit the propaganda machine, the fear things that were pumped out to me, the podcasts I was listening to, the social media feeds I was following worked. It
yep,
got to me. I went down and I went way too far to the left and I went way too radical. And I have so much empathy because I forgive myself. I forgive myself for that mistake.
yeah,
So I'm not blaming any of you guys listening that realize you are super one side. I I
no,
could I was there. Um, what got me out of it was peace, unity, community, and starting listening to things calling for that, starting following social media calling for unity and peace, meeting cops and becoming friends with them, going out in the community, door knocking when I ran for county council and talking to my town that mostly either doesn't vote or votes Republican and loving them. It got me out. What do you think is the best to get us out of the social media traps of extremism?
Well, I think COVID was one of the worst things to happen, like, for mental health in general, and I remember one of my best friends, from high school, she was, like, the same exact thing as you, like, all the way to the left, defending a lot of, like, everything for Black Lives Matter, and I was on the other side of the issue at the time, like, super far to the right, like, I'm defending Trump for everything that he's doing, right? Um, and so it was this constant clash, but we didn't have the opportunity to go out and be like in school and like for an issue to come up and multiple people to be able to talk about it like that we're friends with, right? In our circles, in our communities. And when you are just like solely at alone at home and you're looking for just sources of information but also sources of social contact as well, you go down these rabbit holes. And especially when you think you might know something and you're susceptible because you don't know the whole entire picture, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, like I'm a Democrat, right? So I'm going to go and I'm going to follow all these Democrats and I'm going to, be convinced that, everything is peaceful for the Black Lives Matter protests, and Republicans are Nazis and racists and fascists, right? And it's the same thing if you go down the rabbit hole on the other side, and these woke, liberal, like lunatics who want to, put forced, gender conversion, like conversion therapy on your children, stuff like that, right? Like just crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't really think that's happening in the real world, by the way.
No, and it's not
Yeah,
because
it's not happening.
because
Yeah.
when you're on social media and you can be anonymous or somewhat anonymous, right? Like you can spew hate and you can rile people up, and people like to rile people up. Like
And it
and
gets attention, it
it
gets
gets so
likes,
much
it gets
attention because
views,
people
and
like
people are like finally getting seen. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting attention from this. I better amp it up.
exactly. And since I'm getting attention, it must mean that I'm right, right? So
Yes.
and
Other
everybody
people
who's
are agreeing with me. I'm
Mhm,
right. And then, oh, this person didn't agree with me. Block them. Never
exactly.
talk to them
And
again.
and that's the problem I think that we've seen, is that because of social media and because that, and then you could just block them or just like cancel them and screenshot the post and post it, like we label people, as like either a woke leftist or a racist right-wing nut. And because we label those people, we justify to ourselves that we don't have to engage with those people, that we don't have to speak and talk with them on a human level, that
Right.
you are somewhat morally, more righteous than they are. So
Yes.
their opinion doesn't matter. And so I won't even give you the time of
I
day.
see a lot of that on my side.
Hmm.
I think the Republicans call it elitism or liberal
Yeah.
elites or
Yeah.
something.
Liberal
And I
elitism.
see that, and I am spoken to by some prominent Republic or Democrat, usually men. They speak to me in a way of they are so much smarter than me, and I am wrong just for saying human beings are wonderful people. We should talk to them. We shouldn't fear Republicans. You should talk to them. They're like, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time and you're wrong. And it's
Mm,
like that elitism and that assuming, and I'm going to throw in sexism because they don't say it to Tim Peck, who is the same age as me, but a white male doctor, I guess.
mhm.
Um, I think they're comfortable saying it to a woman.
Yeah.
I'd like to call that out. Hey, I'm not wrong about this. I know it's in a package you might not like, but I'm not wrong, and it really hurts us that we have these people that think they're so much smarter than me.
Hmm.
And then you, because of your age, I bet you get ageism. Because how
Yeah.
old are you?
Oh,
What are you,
exactly. No, I
21?
I've gotten
Yeah,
comments
you're
on
the smartest
some of
21-year
the
old I
podcasts
know.
I've been on of like, he's too young. He'll understand when he's
Yeah,
older.
no, you're
I'm
super smart. I love
like,
talking with
thank you.
you. Yeah, we have to stop the stereotypes and we need to start listening. And it's fear. It's
Yep.
fear. They're
Well,
scared. And
yeah.
I don't think they know how to talk to a Republican neighbor. I think the propaganda machine is so strong that they are legit terrified to door knock on a Republican's door and actually talk to them. So instead of facing their fear and talking to the Republican neighbor, they tell me I'm wrong.
Yep.
That's what I think is happening.
Exactly. Well, I think one of the things that I want to like dispel of like the narrative of a lot of like the Republican Party, like I don't know if you've ever seen this chart. You could look it up, but
Yes. Yes. You
It's
sent
the
it to me, and
breakdown, it's the but it's the ideological breakdown of Republicans and Democrats, of like how like similar they are in their thinking. And Democrats, it's a lot more consolidated. It's a very big, it's more of like a hive mind. A lot of Democrats are a
see,
lot.
I see that on the Republican side,
No,
the hive mind.
but then on the Republican side, you actually look and it's all over the place on the right. Like we have very similar foundational values of, free market capitalism, um,
That's
and
interesting because that's
Mhm.
not what I'm seeing. But
Yeah,
I'm not disbelieving you. You're having
mhm.
research and proof. So I'm just
Yeah,
saying
no,
that's
so
mind
I
blowing
can
to
I
me.
can send you the chart, but it's so
Yes.
but like the general like themes of what a Republican is, free market capitalism, less big government intervention, more personal liberties, right? That is what the true foundations of what a Republican is. But you have people on the extremes, up and down, left and right, in the Republican Party, and a lot of people just associate Republicans with, they label them the white supremacists, or the
Nazis
yeah,
and all the
exactly,
say
the
all the scary
Nazis,
words.
and all of them are. But then I like one of the things that I urge people to realize is, over half of the country voted for Donald Trump. So and if you go out into society and you meet the people around you, and you're in a group of 20 people and it's most likely that 10 of them voted for Donald Trump, like you're not like, oh my God, this guy's not a white supremacist Nazi, right? Like they're just normal human beings around you who may have different fundamental ideals as you. But I think the problem is Donald Trump himself, and the person that he is, and the rhetoric that he has created, that really makes people hate him, right? And really makes people just so vehemently have this like terrible hatred for him that they can't understand why somebody else would vote for him, because it's more on a personal level, I feel, of the hatred of Donald Trump,
And it's
rather than the foundations of like what the policy is exactly.
and when I go out, I went to a Republican fundraiser for Jason Kerberg about a month ago. And there were a couple hundred people there. And they were such nice people because Jason's a nice person. And it was a lot of his friends. And it was a lot of people that really liked that he wasn't political, that he just wants to help the community, which is what I like about him too. And most of the people there just don't follow politics like you and me. And
Hmm.
so these people are mostly Republicans. But if I like ask them, did you know our Republicans in Indiana are defunding public education? No clue. Do you
Mm-mm.
know that they're raising our taxes right now? No idea. Do you know what's happening with the gerrymandering thing where they're trying to gerrymander the congressional races in Indiana, even though uh seven Congress people are Republican out of nine, they want to make it 9 out of 9, even though about 43 to 47% of Indiana is Democrat, votes
Hmm.
Democrat. So they didn't know. So that's part of the problem, I think, on the Republican side, at least that I see. The nice, wonderful Republicans that I meet in Indiana don't know what's going on because their side suppresses the information. It's what I feel like. I feel like they're not saying, "Hey, did you know we're dumping tons of money so that rich people can send their kids to charter and religious schools on taxpayers' dime to hurt your country school that needs every penny it's getting?" They don't say that publicly, you
Yeah.
know?
But and I think also like a lot of what you just said, like I would speak out against in the like in the Republican
I
Party
wish
against.
you were a Republican here in my county
But
speaking out
exactly,
against
but
it.
that's what I'm saying is like, because I don't believe those go by true Republican values,
I
in
don't either.
and in terms, and like I'm a big proponent of like public education. I feel like that is like the starting point of like
My
our
kid's
next
school
generation.
is being so attacked, Christopher. You have no idea. They can
Mhm.
barely survive right now with all of the different mandates and rules while they keep stripping the money. I mean, they're
Yeah,
barely
exactly.
hanging
And
on.
my whole thing with public education is like if we want to like create like the next generation of successful people, we have to give them the tools, and we have to give everyone the tools. So let's see who rises up, but let's level the playing field at the start for our children, right? So
So
let's make all schools great. So we're not going to say, okay, a couple kids can go to the charter school over here, but then the rest of the public school are just going to, not have a good education, right? So we want to be able to level that playing field. I'm a big believer in, the free market, but like also for like people too, like see who rises to the top when everybody's given the same tools to be
yes.
able to be successful.
Yes. Yeah, in Indiana, we keep helping the people that are super rich and hurting those that are middle and lower middle class. I mean, tremendously. And the people that are being hurt have no idea it's happening. I just want everybody to acknowledge Christopher, big time Republican, works on Republican campaigns. You helped with Nikki, what was her
Nikki
name?
Haley's campaign. I
Nikki
was
Haley's campaign. Listen to him, everybody. Here he is speaking about public education and how he supports public education. Just realize there are many, many Republicans across the country that support public education. They don't know what's happening. So we have to tell them. That's what
Mhm.
I'm saying. We have to tell them. We have to not believe the fake propaganda being pumped out that our Republican neighbors are terrifying. Now, I want to call Jessica. I don't know if that's your friend. Do you know this person?
No, I'm not sure.
I don't know if I know him either. Jessica put a great comment on here. She said, "My dislike for the GOP comes from listening to my family and the awful things they say about these groups, not social media. That's just my experience, and I believe some can be drawn in though." So that's a really good comment, and I get that from my people too. They're believing their propaganda, right, Christopher?
Mhm.
They're believing the Republican propaganda. We got to help pull them out. What
Yeah,
I mean, what
I think.
advice do you have for Jessica?
Yeah, I mean, and I see it a lot, and I get frustrated with a lot of like my friends in the party too, who like aren't as informed politically on the issues about it, but will go to the crazy, somewhat conspiratorial, like very right wing people because they stir up a lot of emotions, and like it's like the Nick Fuenteses and the Alex Joneses of the world. It's like, oh, they cause a lot of controversy, like they pit you against. They like to have an enemy, right? Um, and you just get so drawn into it, and it's easy to just fall down that rabbit hole, just like you were saying on the other side of things. Like it's the controversy, it's this constant us versus them
And we're
mentality.
being bombarded with it. Whatever
Exactly,
social
and we're
media
being.
platform or news source we're opening up, bam! Let's
Mhm.
keep your attention and scare the crap out of you.
Exactly, and then also, like, a lot of the comments that you see is like in support of that, so that's just reinforcing and justifying you believing what that is, right? So like, you're like, other people are saying that they agree with this guy, so therefore I'm going to be able to, because it looks like the majority of these people do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good point, and we always have to remember the propaganda machine is so much bigger than we want to admit. And I knew it was big. This is why Tim and I started Project Next, to call it out. And then with this horrific violence last week, when I saw the divisive nature, I saw the people making money off of this violence. That makes me mad. You know what I'm saying? It's been sensationalized. Everybody's listening about it. People are watching the video of the violence, which
I
is
think I
sickening.
think that's the worst thing to happen, and, like, I think the Utah governor was very, like, adamant in saying, like, "This is not good for us," like, to
It's
watch
not good
this,
for
to be
humanity. It's not good for
desensitized to
America.
this kind of violence, and to be able to open up your social media page and say, and just see a man getting shot in the neck, and people online also praising it, like right under the video. It's awful, and it's the same thing of like the praise of like Luigi Mangione is
I
like.
know that was really
and
gross
and like
too.
I exactly, and like if there's I've seen all of these, like ABC is interviewing these people who are in relationships with Luigi Mangione's AI and are getting married to Luigi Mangione's AI,
Maybe
and
we
it's
don't
like.
put them on the news. Maybe we don't
Exactly,
put
but it's
these
just
people
like,
on
but
the
these
news.
people are out like protesting in favor of him because she's married to him, on an AI. Like it's insane
I
what
didn't
what
know. See, I'm
we're
not
seeing.
being fed that story. That's wild. It's interesting. I want to talk about the harm when all our friends are our political party and we don't discuss things with the other side. So I have a couple, like I'm pretty close friends with Brian Zimmerman. He's been busy lately. He just moved, but he helps me to see the other side. He's a Republican. And then I've got Jason Kerberg, and then I've got a bunch of local people I'm friends with that are
You
Republicans.
got me.
I got you. I have another veteran. He's really awesome that he speaks on Facebook with me about my posts. He'll speak, and he said something to me that really made me stop and think. And it's about the stuff happening with ICE. On my side,
Mhm.
we are just being shown the horrific, terrible stuff happening to people that look Hispanic, and it is terrifying. We are seeing them being taken by mostly men that are covered up and have no identification on them, and they're being forcefully taken, and they're being taken to some center, and then if like and then 2 days later they're being moved states away so that we cannot find them, and then it's like they're gone. So my side, super worried about them, and that is me. I'm very worried about them. However, I am also worried about the other side, the people that are having to do this. I'm worried about the National Guard being sent to cities when we don't need them. In my opinion, we don't need anybody in Chicago or in LA. That's just kind of extremism, calling out violence that really isn't there. If it's there, it's always been there. It's not worse. And so I'm worried about these National Guard that are young, 18, 19, 20, 21 year olds, forced to be against peaceful protesters, and then it makes the peaceful protesters mad at them, and then they get mad at the peaceful protesters, and then it could lead to violence. I'm very worried about that. But what I didn't see, what my friend saw, is he's like, the Republicans are worried about the cops. Can you tell me what you all are seeing? Because I'm not seeing that on my social media.
Saying worried about the cops where, like in terms
Like,
of
they're
ICE or
worried
just in
about the
general?
actual people in ICE, and they're saying things like,
Well,
"They're
yeah.
not wearing identification
Well,
because they're being harmed."
Well,
That's what
exactly,
so
and a lot of, once again, ICE is an enforcement agency. That's what it is. They don't call the shots. The administration calls the shots, and you can disagree with what the administration does in any way, shape, or form, and the reason that they're out there. But just like if the New York City mayor deployed the NYPD to do something, they have an obligation to go and do it, right? So these people have, like, this job is their livelihood, right? This is just like a cop. This job is their
but
livelihood. They
then
just,
they're also, like, hiring people because
but
they
they're
need
also
more, and
exactly,
they're dumping tons of money into
they're
ICE.
recruiting, exactly. Then there were, but once again, it's an appealing, stable, job with, I'm assuming, benefits, right? And
And if you need to feed your family.
exactly, if you need
If
to
your
feed your
family doesn't
family,
have food, you gotta pay the
and
bills, you need to stay
and so
housed.
we've seen, and also, but ICE also at the same time, what you're seeing is like these innocent people being picked up, and like two things can be true at the same time, is like, yes, that's happening, but also the intention of it, which has gotten completely out of hand, I believe, of like targeting criminals and taking those people off the streets. Yes, I think we need
They're
to.
targeting anybody that just looks Hispanic at this
Well,
point, is what
but
it
that
looks
not
like.
always, it's a pen, and that the problem, I think, is that I don't know what the training, it doesn't seem like there's rigorous training for and
Christopher
protocol
Right. One of
for
my
what
friends
these ISO. I'm not sure what the targeting tactics are and things like that. But over 50%, like we're near 50%, I think. This, I haven't looked at the stat. This was a couple months ago. Were criminals. But and then,
What about the 50%
well,
that
exactly, the
aren't?
other one though were criminal
And then they
convictions,
don't
and
wanna
then,
do due process. They don't wanna research, is this person with brown skin actually harming our country and harming people or not? They don't seem to be doing that.
well, and I think that's the problem with, and I think that's where we need to not just see what our leaders do and say this is the exact way we have to go, because I do agree with a lot of what you just said, and with something like this has to come, and I think Donald Trump, I don't know if he would ever do it, but like, because he would require working with Democrats, but something like this has to come comprehensive immigration
Yeah.
reform.
So we
And
have to work
exactly.
together
So
and
if you
stop
are
this
going to do,
extremism.
if we are still a country of laws, and illegal aliens are still entitled to due process, right? We need to revamp our immigration system so we have more judges available to be able to sift through this. The problem with it right now is that we are taking criminals off the streets, and some are being targeted, and I agree with that too, and I think that should end, and I'm not sure what the way forward to be able to end that is. um but at the same time, we we already have such a backlog of immigration, like, cases right now from from the previous administration, and just years and years down the line, that people's court dates are in like 10 years from now. So we need to figure out how to be able to process
So
all of the
you
people
mean
that we need.
Republicans and Democrats in Congress and the Senate should work together to come up with a comprehensive bill to
Yeah.
actually tackle this problem instead of handling it in this horrific way?
Yeah.
That's what I'm
That's what I'm saying, and I think, and I don't think he would necessarily do it, but he has the chance to do something for the first time in the 21st century of immigration reform, and to actually create something so solid, so things like
It
this and
scares me
mass
though
floods of
because they're
immigration
so
don't happen again.
extreme. They're so extreme. It scares me what they would pass. So
Well, but
I
I know,
want the
but I'm
next
saying you would
my
need
you know,
Democrat
my hope
support to avoid
is
a filibuster right now. So, um,
interesting. So what I want to happen, I want a common sense Democrat to win the next presidential election. And if I had my way, I think Andy Bashir from Kentucky, governor, would be a great one. And then I would like a very balanced, I would like to get some of these extremists out of Congress, out of Senate. And then I would like us to calm the rhetoric down, unite, like you and I are doing. We're talking it out like smart, in, intellectual people where we don't get worked up and mad at each other.
mhm.
And and then I would like some things to pass to actually help the problem so that we're not hurting innocent people that have brown skin or that were born in a different country but are perfectly wonderful and are paying taxes and are helping society. What I didn't realize is the Republicans are seeing images of like salt trucks and dump trucks and like workers stopping ice from coming into the city.
Uh-huh.
On the Democrat side, we're seeing that on social media and being like, yes, this is awesome. And the Republicans are seeing it as scary. Look, they're not going with the law, with the American law. This is scary. This looks like we're going to lose our democracy. I didn't realize that until I was talking to this veteran friend of mine.
Mhm.
It never occurred to me. So I was in my own little bubble about this. Can you talk about what you're seeing with that?
Yeah, no, and, I think that goes back to, like, 2 things can be true at the same time.
Yes,
Like,
I think you're right.
we can oppose, what maybe the administration is doing and the way that they're enforcing it, but at the same time, we're a nation of laws, and it that was a directive, and that has to happen, right? And it goes along with the policy of, of what he was elected to do. He was elected on this platform for stuff like this to happen, unfortunately. Whether you like it or not, I mean, this is what he was elected to do, and I think that he promised to take out all the criminals and everything like that, which he's doing, and then it's gone over that. I agree with that, and I don't agree with how far it's gone over from the criminal side of things. But at the same time, this is what he was elected to do, so it looks like he's doing what he was elected to do. So we live in a
It's it,
democracy.
it's
If you
just
don't like it,
I'm not
vote
saying
him
I
out.
agree. I don't I'm not saying I agree with the Republican side of the propaganda. I'm saying it's important to recognize what is happening on the Republican side and the Democrat
Yeah,
side. This is an issue that's being dumped out and it's being used to divide us. Where you and I could probably come up with some humane things with immigration that would be better. So the fact that both of us can see the propaganda, that's what I'm just asking everybody to
yeah,
do. I'm not saying I support, because I have a friend named Tiffany and her husband was born in Mexico and she has two beautiful children that look Mexican and she can barely sleep at night. She is so worried about her family. And I think, what if I would have married a man that was born in Mexico and had children that looked Mexican? I would be in the same boat. That's so scary. So it's like we just need to step back and look at the humans
well,
being hurt
and
on
I
both
think
sides,
I
you
think,
know?
we like right when you said that, like a lot of like Republicans I would know would have this like gut reaction to be like, no, like just like stop it. Like there's no reason to worry. But what we really need to do is have empathy and acknowledge the real fears that people are having. And we may not truly understand it, but understand that they do feel that way. And there's a reason that they feel that way. So maybe it
So are
is the
you
way that
on the Republican side? Are you guys just thinking she's going to be fine and her family's going to be fine? Is that what you're thinking?
I think a lot of the time it's like, no, yeah, like, are you a citizen of this country? Like, that's fine. Yeah, then you should be fine. That's the thinking of Republicans, right? And
So,
that
but Christopher, a couple weeks ago, I think it was a month, I think it was maybe like 6 weeks ago, my friend Ethan Sweetland May is running for state senate, and he said his friend and neighbor, who is Hispanic but was born in this country and is an American citizen, was pulled over by an unmarked car. They opened her door and they pulled her out, and she started crying instantly, so she couldn't talk. And they got her car towed, and it took a long time before she was able to calm down and say, I'm an American citizen. And then they looked in her car, and then they looked at her ID, and then they gave her stuff back, but she had to go get her car that was towed. That really happened. That's not a made up story. So I don't know. Are Republicans not seeing this? I mean, people with brown skin, if you have like a Mexican flag on your car, or you're listening to Mexican
I
music,
just
or you have that,
I
they are legit being targeted right
I but
now.
it's not this mass targeting though that and
But
I
we
do
have
agree there
we
are
have
instances
camps
of that,
in.
but there has to be like there has to be a reason that I don't think they're going around looking for
You're
Mexican
saying that, but
flags in
I have
people's
so much
cars.
evidence of it actually happening. Like,
But
we passed
so
out.
much like, do you know how many ICE agents are deployed everywhere? And I'm set, and
Well, we
there
have
can
camps
be.
down by me in Clark County. One of the jails is now being used as is to hold people, and then they only hold them for a couple days, and then they put them several states away, and they don't release who these names are. So if your family member doesn't come home from work and they were born in Mexico, it's really hard to find what happened to them. Like, they're just gone, and then a couple days later they're gone to other states. So I guess your side isn't seeing, like, these are real things happening now, and that's one of the reason we're so freaking terrified.
But yeah, and I think, yeah, it should be called out, and I think the narrative has been like, I think Jessica was right of saying that she's spoken to people who voted for him to mass deport criminals, not day laborers with speeding tickets. Like, I think that is the narrative that is still a lot of Republicans believe, and a lot of like, and that we believe is the mission in general. And don't see, and on the news sources that a lot of Republicans go to, don't, or we see ICE being praised, right? So we don't see these
That's interesting.
instances, these instances where, this does happen, and it's very real that it does happen. But we see the criminals that they're catching. Like, the news stories are the criminals that ICE caught. Look how this person had this many convictions that we just took off the street. Like that. Look at ICE doing its job, and that's when we're like, yeah, it's working, right? That's what they should be
So
doing.
I just want everybody to see the propaganda here. Your side is seeing, this is good. This is helping. We're doing what's supposed to. My side's seeing specific instances of people being targeted, and they are being targeted here. I think that your state where you are, I don't think it's as bad as it is in my state in Indiana. Like, I really think it's different in different states. In Indiana, everything's being allowed that the Trump administration is
Mhm.
trying to do. It is full on. They are supporting, our governor is supporting them wholeheartedly. So it's really hit here hard. um, so we can move on from this issue, but I just want everybody to realize their side sees different things, you know? And if I didn't talk to you, I wouldn't fully understand it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important that we talk to our Republican friends and family and see what their propaganda is feeding them, because then it helps me talk to Republicans. Now I have more information how to explain to people, no, 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 that's not what's actually happening. They're not arresting just the criminals. They're arresting anybody that looks Mexican, which is horrific in my opinion, to label someone on the color of their skin, and then to just educate compassionately, not get mad at them, not yell at them, not tell them they're stupid. Say, I bet you're not seeing it. I bet your social media is not feeding it. Let me talk to you about it. Let me tell people about my friend Tiffany. Go for it. She wants everybody to know what's happening. She is really scared about her husband and kids. And if I were her, I would be scared too. On one hand, I see it's not as scary as she thinks it is, but it's also very much happening. There
Yeah.
is a chance. There is a chance. I don't think it's as big of a chance as the Democrats are pumping out, but I
Well,
think it's still
and
there.
I think that's the thing too, and that people go so defensive of ICE because, like, when we use like the term "they," we designate that to every single person in that agency, right? And not the ICE agents who are taking the criminals out, right? And who do have these convictions and rightfully getting them off the streets, right? Like
Yeah,
when and
we're not seeing
same thing,
any of that. Our
exactly, and
side
but
doesn't see any of that.
exactly, and it's the same thing with like with cops, right? Like, and I believe this with any bureaucratic agency, any agency in general, is that there aren't not everybody's going to be an amazing is going to be an amazing cop, right? Not as everybody's going to be an amazing, completely morally right
So we
cop.
need
I
accountability.
believe I believe exactly, we need accountability, but I believe the majority of them will be. There's always going to be a little bit of corruption, no matter how much you try to weed it out,
I
right? Like
think who
that's
your
just
sheriff is
yes.
really
No,
important.
but I'm
Who
just
the
saying
leader
in
is, because
general.
they can let like Jason is like, if I have a cop that's like racist and harming people, I don't want them working in my department.
No,
So
no,
it's
of
like
course.
who the sheriff is so important in that instance.
100%, but I believe that most cops believe that, but there may be a select few that don't, right? There's always a select few that are, or that aren't what they represent, but then those select few get targeted as the they. So all
Yes.
cops are
So they're
bad
saying all cops are bad when
because
it's clearly
these
not true.
exactly, this part of them is. And so we're saying all of these ICE agents are terrible and they're going after and targeting all these people, right? But it's kind of the same thing of some are doing the job of going and taking the criminals off the street, right? And we don't know what the targeting measures exactly are, and some can be racist and biased and things like that. And we should try to take those people out. But if
Man,
we just say they all the time, that gives it to everybody and then creates this just once again us versus them mentality, that ICE as a unit, as every single person who is a part of it and supports it and stands for it, is a terrible person, right?
yeah, with cops, I recommend you all listen to the Jason Kerberg interview I did. It's a mental fitness episode because I learned a lot. If you are in your community and you see a cop protecting your area, go up to them and thank them and
Mm-hmm.
introduce yourself and find out their name, because cops are seeing trauma sometimes multiple times a day. Maybe a child died in a car crash. Maybe someone died by suicide with a gun in their apartment and the cops the first to the scene. They are legit seeing multiple violent things every day, and they don't have like they can't talk to a therapist every day. So
Nope.
like I talked to a former sheriff, a former Republican sheriff at that Republican event, and he said his main goal when he was sheriff was every day talking to each cop and making sure they were mentally okay
Yeah.
and that they weren't going to
And then
become violent or hurt themselves. Or and I'm like, we are not talking about this enough. We have got to
no.
support our cops and
And then
help them.
imagine exactly, and then imagine the mental strain that have being a cop already has on a
And
person,
half of the
and then
country,
adding on the political attacks,
yes,
and
yes.
then saying that you are a terrible person. It's like, oh my God, I've been trying to protect you. Do you see what I've been doing? I've been,
So
and just like you were saying, and how terrible that is, even more so for their
And
mental
so
health.
it makes people not want to be cops. They don't
Yep.
get paid great pay. Anyway, they're putting their life on the line. They're seeing trauma. And then about half of the country has been, propaganded to
Well,
hate them and think they're all evil. It is so hard on them. So I make sure to go up to every cop I see and thank them, let them know I'm a Democrat and I care about what they're doing and I'm concerned about their mental health. Like
exactly, and
you know,
it's the same thing with teachers too, because like, and I make the same
oh
argument
yeah.
about teachers. There's a select few that maybe shouldn't be in there, but I believe the majority of teachers
Yeah,
want
I'm
to
a former
help
teacher.
their kid.
Yeah.
Exactly, I
Yeah.
believe the majority of teachers want to help their kids, have their
So your
kids'
guys,
best
are you
interests
saying
in
your
mind.
side is your side being shown teachers not being great? Because I don't see
Exactly.
that.
That's what I'm like. 'Cause
Really?
I see a lot of the school board meetings and the screaming at the end about content in class and talking about trans things and things like that in schools. And I'm like, okay, like I went to public school and I never really saw this. Like it's like these little instances, but then we're targeting all teachers now.
So
And if we want, and if we're like
what
these
happens
are
on
people
the
that we're
Dem
teaching our
side with
kids.
cops is happening on the Republican side with teachers, and that's their
Exactly.
excuse to defund public education. That's
Hmm.
fascinating because I don't get teachers are bad. Now, I have teacher friends, Christopher, that teach at my kids' school that quit. A bunch of them quit beginning before this school started. My kids are losing their great teachers because of their mental health, because they're being targeted on social media and people are saying these things about them and they are legit amazing people and they can't handle the mental health of being trolled online. And I'm like, oh no. So this makes sense to me because I'm like, why are my good teacher friends quitting?
Hmm.
But if that's the side, that's the propaganda we're pumping out. Like,
Exactly. And it's also the attack on public school now, because now it's almost like, oh, like charter school teachers would never do that.
see,
Like,
I
and
taught at a Catholic school,
Mhm.
and there weren't great teachers there either.
That's what I'm saying. And
Like,
like they
I
also
mean,
don't
people
have
are
to have
people.
like
They're good or bad or
private and charter
medium.
schools don't also have to like aren't held to the same standards of what degrees you need to become a
I think it
teacher.
makes it worse.
It does, exactly.
Yeah,
There's no like it's but like the thing is there's money behind those, so they have the resources to be a good school. So I'm all for school choice. If you want to send your kid to a private school or church school, that's fine, but that's all privatized. That's private money. Like, we're not going to take public education money and
yeah,
push it towards private schools if
yeah,
you're already funding it with private
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Like, and our
I want.
schools are falling apart, and we're giving money away as we need more resources.
This is a Republican, you all. Republican Christopher. I wish every Republican could be listening to you right
I wish
now. Can we pump this out? Can
I
we
have
pump this out to
problems with
people?
people in my own party of and trying to
Because they've
convince
been
them of
fed the
things like
fake
this.
propaganda, you all. They've been fed the fake propaganda. I want to call this out. Jessica, this is so beautiful. I love you for saying this. So apparently she watched your Who's Left episode, and she says she feels bad for like probably being upset because you're a Republican.
All
And now
right.
she's
No,
saying
I love
sorry.
it. I love
That
it.
is so
Thanks.
freaking
Thanks, Jessica.
beautiful. Jessica, you are badass for saying, I mean, how amazing of you. I just, this is why we're talking today. I want my Democrat friends watching to realize a bunch of Republican people are freaking amazing like you. And I
And
want
then the same thing
Republicans to
goes for a lot
watch,
of my Republican friends.
yes, and
Like,
realize I'm not doing this far to the left propaganda machine. I'm out of it. I'm out of the bubble. So how do we get people? Well, we have conversations. We've talked about some of the heaviest stuff, right? We're getting
mhm,
it cleared up. And then it's really important to realize what our social media platforms are showing us.
yeah.
Because I meet people when I'm running for state house where they say, "Did you see this and this thing online?" And I have no idea what they're talking about. But they think because it was shown to them, it was shown to everybody. Like, have you run into that? Because when I talk to regular people out on the street, they're just like, "Have you seen this and this?" And I just don't even have one clue what they're talking about.
Oh,
So we
exactly. And then you're supposed to apparently have an opinion and know all the
and
information on
don't
the
your like
spot. And if you
parents do it?
don't,
Like my
and you're not
parents do it. They're
informed.
like, "Didn't
Yeah.
you see this thing?" And I'm like, "Just because you were shown it doesn't mean I was shown it.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on unity stuff,
Yeah.
so I don't see it as much." So we have to realize just because you see something online doesn't mean somebody else sees it, and then realize social media and news want you to watch them. They want
Yep.
you to stay engaged. So they are going to show you stuff they think you want to see. And it usually tends to be more extreme because the fear keeps you reading, the panic keeps you reading. So we have to stop and acknowledge. And then, like, instead of getting mad at our family members for getting duped by the extremely powerful propaganda machine that I've been susceptible to, we need to have empathy and love and compassion.
Yep.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I I completely agree, and I think one of the things, and like we all, and I still like sometimes I'm susceptible to going down the rabbit hole of like, okay, I don't know what I think on something, so I'm gonna go to a right wing source to be able to
To
kind
get
of
informed and know my opinion.
develop my argument around it. And like a constant question like that I have to ask myself, and that in conversations that I have with other people on contentious issues, is just, what do I believe? What do you believe? Right? Like, truly, what are my core values, and what do I believe in? And that is going to guide me in how I come across this opinion. So, and it's hard because somebody's telling you what their opinion is, and you're trying to find the information and the fact within it, and they're already giving you, the argument for their side. So you're a lot more susceptible to it. But and so I think one of the actually things to do is read both sides. And like the greatest thing is,
Yeah.
in my apartment now, we have so many TVs everywhere. But what I love to do is put Fox on one screen and CNN on the other screen. And they literally are talking about the same stories but have exactly different headlines. Here, let me read you. I took a picture the other day of the screens. And it was fascinating. It was during the RFK Jr. hearings, right? And they were covering the same exact thing. And CNN was, "Senators grill RFK Jr. amid CDC chaos, vaccine policy turmoil," right? crazy, like, oh, what's going on in this with the HHS, and then Fox, RFK Jr. We will be cracking down on big pharma, right? Like the positive, like so the positive
So
things of what
so
he said in that in
it's
that
such a good
testimony.
point. The
Hmm.
the the Republican side is seeing what good things the Republicans are doing. The Democrat side are seeing the horrors magnified by a
Hmm.
thousand. But at the same time, I would agree they are doing bad things. So
Exactly, but at the same time, they were both showing the testimony, and they have both very different headlines. So if I'm on
yes.
Fox and I read that headline, I'm like,
So
yes,
you
great
know which
job,
news source
RFK.
you're gonna go to. And if you want to go
Hmm.
more extreme, you go Newsmax. If you want to go more extreme, you go MSNBC. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, then you just keep on going
Okay.
down the
I
line.
before we only have like 5 more minutes before we leave, and I've got to ask you about this. So I went to Lanesville Heritage Weekend. I'm in Harrison County. It was a 4-day event. It's our biggest event in Harrison County. It is huge. It is very country. It's kind of cool. A lot of like tractor pulls and tractor things and stuff. A lot of cowboy hats, cowboys, and I worked the Democrat booth for Harrison County, and it happened the day after the Charlie Kirk assassination. So the Republican booth is very close to the Democrat booth. We can see it. It's just like a few things down. So I have Republican friends. I have a commissioner, Anissa, that is a close friend of mine. I love her so much. She's a Republican, and she was working the booth. And I go and talk to her for like 45 minutes, and I'm standing right outside the Republican booth, and I'm looking at the booth. They have three giant banners about Charlie Kirk. It has that he has died. It has a quote on there. And I'm like, man, they got this so fast. This was not even like 15 hours since it happened. Like they clearly paid money to pump out this message. And I just kind of felt gross by it because I'm upset the man died. I'm upset by the horrific violence. But at the same time, I see the propaganda. They're riling their side up, getting them mad at Democrats about it. And I'm like, and then they also had a Trump picture. It's the fist pumping picture when he got shot on the ear. And they've added fake blood to it.
No,
There's
that's
blood.
that's real blood. That's real blood.
There were 5 streaks down?
There was, yeah, that was real blood. That's it was
Okay,
going across
because I
his.
never saw that for real. So that one was
No,
a
that
big one, and it just seems very, "Let's get them hating the Democrats." That's
well,
what it read to me, and then here's the last one, Christopher, I know this is hard to hear, I'm sorry. The last one was you could take a bunch of signs, they had like 15 of them out, I'm sure they had more of them under their tables, that said, "Trump was right about everything."
mhm.
And I'm talking to Anissa, and I point to that sign. I said, "Anissa, look at this sign. Trump was right about everything. Haven't you heard him say one thing and then immediately say the opposite thing? Which thing's true all the time?" And she rolls her eyes and she's like, "Well, I'm here for the community." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you're a Republican commissioner at this booth. Don't you have some power? Couldn't you say, this sign is fascist, blindly following?" I was like, "Anissa, I never thought Joe Biden was right about everything. I would have rather had a younger person run for president." And I'm like, No person do I think everything they say is right." So
Yeah,
what do you
but
say about that?
so for the Trump is right about everything thing, like what I think Trump does amazingly, is like embrace populism and this us versus them mentality, and he is amazing at getting the left riled up. And it's true because it's so easy to be able to just like pick at them a little bit and then they go crazy because he is going to say Trump was right about everything, not because he's a fascist and all this stuff. Because
So
he
you
knows.
don't think he's a fascist?
I do not think he's a fascist. I do not think he's a fascist. No. Like we could go through it. He's not use it. He's no. I don't think he. But I also think the labeling of fascist, Nazi starts to justify
But doesn't
violence
that
against
sign
people.
Trump was right about
No,
everything?
but I think that it's like being read into too much because it's literally just to rile people up. It's rage bait for Democrats, and they take onto it because they're
Yes.
going to be like,
So
"He's a
I try
fascist
not
lord.
to
He was right
be
about everything." No,
susceptible
he
to
wasn't.
rage bait, but that one got me because
Yeah,
that one is like the man says one thing and immediately says the
well,
opposite thing. How
he
possibly can be everything he says is true and
well,
right?
what he exactly, and the reason for the sign worked. right? It got you mad.
Yes, that's a good
It got you
point.
mad.
You're
It got you
so
mad.
you're saying the sign itself, which I would say the entire Republican booth of Harrison County was to rile up Democrats and to rile up their base. Yeah, yeah, and get
Yeah,
them,
and that's what Trump has embraced, and that's what has defined most of his presidency is going against the woke liberal Democrats, right?
but
And so and that's just true. So it's a very on brand for it. And but you also see like on the left all of like the toilet brushes with Trump's hair on it that are being
yeah, I
made
I
like
don't that's all gross. I don't do any of that stuff.
no, I
Yeah,
know,
that's
but I'm
gross.
just saying. So like, but it
And
like
I've
it's
never seen that. The thing you're
yeah.
talking about, I've never seen. Trump
Oh
with
yeah,
toilet
there's like a
brushes on his
toilet
head?
bowl brush with his hair on it. There's all this stuff on like toilet paper and like terrible things of Trump that made into goods because people buy it because they love to hate him, just like people love to hate the Democrats on the right. It goes both ways on that, and I also think that the Charlie Kirk shooting and the Trump assassination attempt, political two instances of political violence that should have
Very
never happened
scary. It never happened.
should never
Terrifying.
happen are
Scary for me,
also
by the way, because I'm a political candidate and I get in front of people and I give speeches in front of hundreds of
yep.
people. So you all need to realize this is scary for anybody in politics. It doesn't
And
matter how you
as a
vote.
person who wants
It's
to go into
terrifying.
politics, right, and
Yeah.
wants to be
What
able
if
to
you're
freely
thinking about
express their
running and you're like,
ideals,
I'm too scared because of political violence? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But also the Trump assassination attempt and the Charlie Kirk shooting right now um, have given this justification to Republicans that look look at these instances of political violence. Our leading candidate was our president was almost shot and killed, and then probably the biggest voice for the young conservative movement was shot and killed. This happened because of what they said, so that's their justification for hating the left.
Yeah.
And
I get it. And I'm
death
saying
and
here on the
tragedy and
left,
violence
yeah.
bring justification against people and pit people against one another.
So we have to fight it, you all. It is so hard. We have to fight it and not be baited. And I would say the Republican side's really good at baiting us.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
would
and
I mean, they
they're
really
great.
mastered it.
Great.
A plus on it.
They
Because the
mastered it.
sign got me. I try really
Hmm.
hard not to be
Oh yeah.
baited, and that sign got me. And so we can't expect uniting and fixing the country if we just spend all our time combating their bad. We have to have solutions, be willing to work with the good Republicans, the good Democrats. And then this is really important to end on. And I think we should do this again, Christopher, because I think this is fascinating to find out the way Republicans see things is fascinating to me. We need to put people that don't want division in power.
Hmm.
And in the Democratic Party, I'm willing to admit we shouldn't be putting the most extreme people in power. The people that take the rage bait and throw it back out at them. I don't want those people. I want people like Andy Bashir, like Pete Buttigieg. I want the people that are pumping unity, love, working together, humanity. Let's focus on humans and helping because right now we are all being hurt. And I think you agree with that.
I
And
completely agree with that.
so how do you help your side? Maybe we can talk about that next time because in my county, the Republicans that I help that are good people, some of them are like local heroes around here. I would consider Anissa a local hero helping especially people that are poor in our county. She does everything to help them. I want to know how do they get bigger positions of power because it seems like bullies that have fully embraced the Trump propaganda are running things in my county. They're
Hmm.
running things in the state. So if you're a Republican and you're like you who call for we agree on a lot of things, how do we actually get your party to be less extreme? And I agree we need to get my party to be less extreme. Maybe we can talk about that next time.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to start our next one.
Yeah, I can't wait to
It's
do
a
this
big
again. And
thing
we'll
to
do it
talk
in
about.
mental fitness too, because I hope this helped everybody. If you guys don't mind putting in the comments if this helped you, because it was fascinating to me. I learned some things from you that I didn't know, and I thought I was pretty into the Republican side. So I hope it helped you. I think
No, it definitely helped me and a lot of things too. And I think also not because I think, and sometimes I like even in this conversation I had it like when we hear the opposing argument or like what we think like the terrible things are that the other side is saying, like we immediately want to have a gut reaction to it and be like no 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 no, like that's not true. But like I think the things that we need to realize is like there is not on a lot of these issues like one way isn't exactly right and one way isn't exactly wrong, and we can talk about the things that we want to see happening that aren't, but we can also highlight the things that we think are good that we can keep, right? Like because it's not all bad and it's not all good either, right? But
And if,
that's
yeah,
the way, if we start thinking that way, then we elect leaders who think that way. So
yes,
it can't be that, it has to be this cultural shift of
yes.
we're actually talking about our ideals and we're saying that things can be better, but some things are good right now. And how do we evolve and not, have this complete revolution, but have an evolution of keeping the things that have made us strong and strengthening them, and then fixing and changing the things that have weakened us.
And I think more conversations like this is a start. But to my friends super stressed out right now, maybe don't spend so much time on social media.
Yeah.
Don't click on the fear bait things. Maybe spend some time outside, talk to regular people, get love from your family. I know a lot of people are mentally struggling right now. It's
Yeah.
been hard for me. I'm having to watch my old favorite. I'm rewatching Twilight for like the 50th time. That's just how I am stressed out. So that's a show to me. Oh, I'm going to my most happiest of places because I am stressed out. So
Yeah.
take care of yourself, everybody. Try to stay away from the division and look for the uniters. Look for
I
the
think
people wanting to unite the country.
I think that's also was a great point too, is like there's all like we talked about before, there's so much information coming us at all times. We feel like we have to always be
You,
ready for
you
it.
don't have
And
to.
it's like, no, right? Things they're gonna come and go in a 24-hour news cycle, and you're gonna find out the really important stuff at some point. So go outside, unplug, don't go down the rabbit holes. Like talk with people, like real people outside in person, get sunshine, right?
Yes.
Understand the world that you live in right now and understand that you don't have to be this morally righteous person at all times trying to save every single corner of the world, right? You can still be you and take time for yourself and not have to be constantly engaged in politics. We all need to take a step back.
Yeah, you're so smart. I did an anxiety episode. It was our first mental fitness episode. That might help you all right now if you are struggling with anxiety. But if you can't read a book, watch a new TV show, listen to a long conversation, focus for more than a minute or two, you're having high anxiety. Those are some of the signs. And you need to take a step back from things stressing you out and get centered. And once you can pay attention to your children or your loved ones and you can read a book again, then you know you're back on track. Also,
Mm-hmm.
weigh yourself. Are you like, because when I'm super anxious, I'll lose a pound or two a day. So I weigh myself every day to make sure I'm on track. Um, but this is a high anxiety time, and high anxiety leads to more fear mongering. It works better when you're at high anxiety, and then you're more susceptible to sharing fear bait mongering awful propaganda posts. You're more susceptible to make those posts yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So take care of yourself. I just did an episode, was it yesterday, 2 days ago, about suicide. And it was a really beautiful conversation with a doctor that studies public health, a professor at Bloomington. So that is another good one to listen to too, because we need to protect ourselves and everybody else. I am deeply worried about the mental health of the country. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Christopher, thank you for doing this with me. I wish we
Thank you
lived
so much for
closer and I
having me.
could give you a hug. I adore you so much. I'm so glad we're friends. I'm so glad you do this with us. I'm
Same
so
here.
glad we met in person
Me
at
too.
Tim's event. He's
Yep,
Tim's nephew, everybody. I feel like you're a family member. I care about you like you're my nephew.
exactly.
So, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm just so thankful for your friendship. I'm thankful to know this smart Republican out here fighting, calling for beautiful things that I mostly agree with.
Yeah.
It really helps my mental health. And I hope it helps everybody else that's listening.
And
Jessica,
it's the
and
same thing with me, with you, is like it's a very refreshing like look at like
isn't
okay,
it?
like we're gonna be okay. Like
We're gonna be okay. You helped your You helped your uncle's campaign, even though you're
Mhm.
Republican, because you understand Tim Peck, the human, and what he
Yep.
represents, and you represent that too, and I do too, and that's how we met, and that's beautiful. The
Mhm.
other side is not as scary as you think it is, but the propaganda machine is so high, it constantly berates us every day, making us think it is scary. And I'm telling you, it's not. It is radicalizing people, but you can get them back. I was
Yep.
radicalized during the pandemic. You said you were too. We were both further divided, and
Definitely.
so it's possible to get out of it. All right.
Yep.
Thank you guys. We'll do this again whenever Chris and I can arrange a time. And I
Yep.
hope you enjoyed it. Please share. We're on Substack, Project Next Indiana. You can get emailed these episodes so you don't miss one. We're also a podcast on Apple and on Spotify. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Please send this to a friend that you think would benefit. Somebody that is a little bit far to both sides but really hates the division and is scared right now. I think if you sent this and they listened, it might make them feel better. So, all right.
Definitely.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves.